this is Rayo, and I'm making this video for a recommendation component. Um, the issue to address is this. Our cities here in North Carolina, or at least Wake County, are being overrun by homeless. It seems like there is a disservice to the homeless in that some reports are that we have an increase of about 19% in homelessness. I think it's much higher. You got to gauge a population that's ungageable at the time. And what ends up happening is that because of that, you basically making an estimate. Now, based on what I've seen, going to different places, cities and towns, where there was nobody panhandling or asking for donations. As soon as you get up the highway, or go to the supermarket, or go to the pharmacy, or go eat somewhere or downtown, you generally didn't see the homeless. Now you see them all the time. That tells me that the increase is higher than what is being reported, and it's sad. That's sad. It's sad. But not only that, according to some of the statistics, the increase is also unsheltered. Like 30+% is in the unsheltered population. So here's a problem that I have, which I'm addressing specifically, which is the Wake County Housing Department, and with reference to, in particular, centers like Helen Wright Center, South Wilmington Street Center for Men, all these different Raleigh Rescue Mission, different places. Now, when you have increases like this, you would think that those places that serve the unsheltered population and tries to shelter them, that they would be ramping up services, Salvation Army and so forth, and trying to make sure that your facility then goes into overtime mode because you have an increase. And so, but here's the thing, give you an example. South Wilmington Street Center for Men, you have a center director over there, Frankie Lawrence, who busy working with Angela Crawford, busy just, he's being allowed. He was, and curtailed some, being allowed to just hire his friends and not fill positions as needed and try to maintain a full staff. Now here's the thing. If you have an increase in homelessness, you have to have increase in staff, increase in services. So you should be running that center 24/7, or at least a whole lot of increased hours to provide those services. Get these people off the street. A lot of these times these are people who just fell into a bad way, got work, injuries, stopped working, applied for workman's comp, disability, and those things take time, 6 months plus at times. Especially in North Carolina, we got a delay, intentional delay in services here, to get approved and get those things up and running. Especially Medicaid. Medicaid, you just got workers that treat Medicaid as their own personal benefit and don't want to give anyone anything, even though they're eligible. So here's what happens: this is veteran services, compensation, disability rating, and so forth. You gotta help them complete all those different types of applications: food stamps, Medicaid, disability, the whole mental health services. You gotta help them apply for all those services. And what ends up ending up, unfortunately, a lot about population and substance abuse. So really, in terms of housing department, Wake County, really need to focus on trying to get more supported housing, because a lot of those substance abuse and mentally ill people will need long-term case management, not just a couple of months, 6 months. No, they need long-term, because it's a chronic condition oftentimes. And that's just it. That's just the nature of the disabilities, substance abuse and so forth. So what we're talking about here is this: I don't understand how a center director can be allowed to go ahead and not fill all positions that are empty and use favoritism in the hiring process. I don't understand that. No open and competitive hiring. If only one applicant applied, you need to go ahead and get that person on board. I mean, that's what I would do. Because you need a lot of case managers to tackle your increase. So, and at least in a short-term period, you gotta increase services to deal with the demand. Because I don't want to live in Nightdale, Wendell, Zebulon, go to the zoo market and encounter a homeless person, and they're living in the woods somewhere out there in Cary. Some woods that was bulldozed downtown to make room for new buildings. Raleigh, in particular, where all these new buildings came up, and the homeless encampments went. So they went out to the other cities. So here's the thing: is that you need the services to get these people off the street. You need to help them do these applications. You need to help them to have these addresses where they could get their mail, respond to requests for records and stuff. And you need to help them get records. And have all through, from beginning and end, the application processes. Gotta help them, because these determination specialists are not trustworthy anymore as they used to be. So you need someone to say, yes, they requested information and we send it and this is the proof. And so forth. And just here's the thing: if you don't have open and competitive hiring, you don't fill these positions to meet the increased needs, you don't have the programs available. So basically, instead of just running a shelter, for example, while the rest measure certain hours, you need to have daytime hours when case management is available for these women, these families, and so forth. Case management has to be available in all these different types to deal with the increase. You know, all these different types of centers. Helen Wright Center, case management has to be available during the daytime. And there's no also concept of shifts. You know, some people work day shifts. They're working alcoholics, working substance abuse people, working people with mental illness. You got different types of shift: first shift, second shift, third shift. So there should be dorms dedicated to shifts. If you're working, if you're getting back on your feet and working, so sorry. That's what you need. You need more services, deal with the increase, and you need change your model of, well, we only operate certain hours. No, you got to increase until you increase the services until the demand goes down, until you have less homeless people out there. And if you're caught up in HR as an HR director, letting center directors not fill positions to create a shortage of workers, wherein the workers that are there all of a sudden get this fabulous overtime, and then the clients go without services. So it doesn't make sense. Increase the number of positions to deal with the demand that's needed, because you have an increase in homelessness, and it's in the unsheltered population. And then once you take care of that, then you might be able to reduce again. But North Carolina has been cited as one of the worst places with one of the increases of homelessness. So if you're still letting Frankie Sue, Susie Q hire their friends, no open and comparative hiring, and the clients go without services, it doesn't make sense. And then, like I said, these models of different centers is that, well, you can only stay at the DV center 3-4 days. Or, geez, what does that mean? Anyway, this is my 2 cents again. This is recent statistics that I've seen. No, no, no. Like I said, I think the statistics are wrong. 90% increase in homelessness, and we were one of the worst already. I don't think it's true. I think it's much more. And just the fact that they also are attributing that to homelessness in the unsheltered population. So, hope this helps. As Gene Hackman said, stop effing around. You know, the late great Gene Hackman. Get, it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and negligence. Stop it. Serve the people. Open and competitive hiring. Get the services in place. Ramp up the services. That's my recommendation. That's my professional opinion. Take care.